Thanks for joining. This is going to be very exciting training related to Python, and then it will be integrated with SD-WAN. So how this will be breaked up? In terms of Python, you can see that we have topics related to understanding the Python, but anyways, you know these things. I'll go through it faster. We should know these things related to Python, related to data expression, statements, control flow, loops, the function modules, the list, the data structure type like list, tuples, dictionaries, and error handling techniques, packages, files, writing the files, reading from the files, etc. So for that, what I have done that I have divided this training, and if I have one blank slide, so let me write here. So this training is divided. We know that we have total 12 days of training. And in these 12 days is something like 4 plus 8. 4 plus 8 means 4 days we'll learn Python. And then 8 days we'll learn SD-WAN use cases. And I have very big programs that I have developed long back, maybe 2-3 years back. I have developed some of the programs which are still useful, and later on in the SD-WAN section, I will show you that even you can go and add piece of codes on those programs. You can delete something from those programs, and even we can use some AI tools to add or delete a line of codes from those programs as well. So those programs are there, but idea related to those programs I have developed 2, 3, maybe 3, 4 years back. Even those videos are still there in YouTube. I have some 7 hours, 8 hours SD-WAN automation courses in YouTube. But this time we will learn this in more structured way, in a structured fashion, because from last 2, 3 years, my programming knowledge also increased, and the logic and why we are doing and what we are doing, that also you will see that difference in that delivery, because I'm also continuously learning this automation. I created content for CCNA DevNet and CCI DevNet. So even when we'll go and learn the advanced programming like 2000 lines of code programs, you can ask anything on those line items, and I will explain you those things. Well, let's just start with basic. Why 4 days for Python? Because we should know this Python. Later on, these things will be integrated with SD-WAN, and it will make some difference. So again, we'll break this 4 days into first 2 days with Python, and then one day SD-WAN example, or maybe 1 or 2 day SD-WAN example, and or maybe let me do like this. So let me do like this: 2 plus 4. We'll do like this: 2 days of Python training, and then I'll move to SD-WAN because you want to use this SD-WAN as soon as possible. So I'll not hold you more
Hmm.
than 2 days. And then again,
Yeah,
we'll do the 2 days with Python, and then remaining 4 days, some advanced SD-WAN programs. I will show you that. Actually, you can do everything from automation related to SD-WAN. All right, so this will be the strategy I'm going to follow. I have uploaded all these codes. So let me open the editor where we will go and execute the Python related programs. This is one of the freeware tool we have, Microsoft Visual Studio. Maybe you have this
I do.
in your
Yes.
laptop. Yeah. So
Yep.
you can go and check the script. So you can see that I have Python Unit 1 and Unit 2. And let me go back here. So now if you go back to the agenda, you can see Unit 1 and Unit 2, where we have to learn about basics of data expressions, the statements, and then you can see that control flow and loops. And what is and how it is, how to install, all those things, the data types and all those things. What you can do, you can open those folders that you have. Let me go and put here. So 1, 2, 3. This is section 1. Start with 1 A, B, C, D. So this is unit 1 examples. So up to 1F. So you have very small total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples. Very easy, straightforward. It can be in any format, but since we are learning networking, so I converted this as a IP address and host name and since you know Python, so I'll not go to very basics of those, but you can see that host name is assigned as a string. IP address is also assigned as a string. Port count, let me increase the font size. So port count, you can see this is a integer. Then you can see list. Then you can see the boolean. So we have here 5 variables. Variables are nothing but the name space, can be recalled anywhere in the program. So 5 variables we have on those 5. We have 2 as a string, and one is as an integer, one as a list, and one as a boolean. Now we can go and use a print statement, for example this print statement, and then you can go and print the host name, IP addresses, and port counts, and the VLANs and all. So while you are running the program, what we are doing, we can go and run this. Now you can see the host name switch, IP address is this, port count this. Normal, very easy example. But why we have this example? Just to know that we have different type of data types in Python, and
Yes.
different type of data types are represented via different way, like a string within the quotes, the integer, state assignment, list within these brackets, and the boolean, true or it may be
False.
false. So once you go and write this, it will change the color, right? And then we can go and run the program, and you can see we can use Python exe. You can run this program like this. If you are using Mac OS, different way you can execute the program. If you are using Linux servers, you can go and run the program in different manner, right? Any doubt in this? Easy, right? Straightforward.
Nope. Yep.
Okay.
Easy. My thing is I'll learn this stuff, so I get a lot of input, right?
Yeah.
Teaching, coaching. I don't do the output. I don't get my hands on the keyboard and practice, you know? And so I'm changing that. I have been changing that this year. I have to be practicing this stuff as much, as much as I can.
Yeah. So the
So,
examples that I created, you will love these examples that we have. So now you
yes.
can see that next example we have, that is easy and straightforward, where we want to use some operations like operators to add these numbers. So here you can see that we have the port speed, and then the port total ports, then total bandwidth, port speed into total ports, and then we can go and print it, right? So you can go and print it, and this program also, if you want to run, just you can go and run this, and the total bandwidth is like this, right?
Hmm.
What I'm doing generally in our classes, that I'm creating one extra file here. So let me go and create one file here. I'm saving it as a test. Already test file is there seems. Let's save this as a, so I created a blank file, and then test.py, and then these things we can go and use it. So see, that's the difference we have. The difference means that you have A equal to, for example, 2, B equal to, for example, 3, and then C equals to A into B, right?
Hmm.
That's the interesting thing here. B, and then wow, wow. Okay, I hope it will not mind. And then print C, right? Now
Hmm.
let's go here and do by oops, run this python.exe test. So you can see 6, right? Now what I have done in this example is that I took the example like number of interfaces equal to 48. Then port speed you can see, suppose 1.0, and then total bandwidth equal to number of interfaces into port speed, and then I'm using the print command. So print something like what I want to print. So I want to print the bandwidth. So total bandwidth, switch total bandwidth will be what it will be. Mm, Total bandwidth, right? And should give some, or you can assign like this. So you can do like this. See, do go here and go here because we are using the function. Go here and then close this. So you can see that we are getting some error. What it is telling that invalid syntax. Perhaps we can go and give some comma here. Let's see. It should work like this. I can see. Or you can go and give comma here and remove this bracket. So you can see that switch total bandwidth will be like this. So point here is this, that I took normal, normal A, B, C operations and just
Mm-hmm.
converted this into some uh, networking terms. That's the
Mm-hmm.
example. So behind the scene, the thing is this, the logic will be the same. Python logic
Mm-hmm.
is the
Mm-hmm.
same logic that we want to
Right.
print, uh, we want to create some program for some, you can see
Something.
some
Yeah.
vegetable shop or some market or some, some mall like that. And here things are different. Here we have the networking related things like devices, switches, port counts. You want configuration, you want to read configuration, write configuration. Now this is one part. This is one part that this is what Python can do some logics for us. We can write
Mm-hmm.
some algorithms, some conditions, some math, some operations with Python. But point here is this, that okay, what is our goal? Our goal is this, that use this knowledge within SD-WAN, within ACI, within other DNA, etc. So how? For example, let's focus on SD-WAN. In SD-WAN, we have to go and use this program, right? But SD-WAN, where you have to write your program, you have to write means where you have to execute your program. You want to execute your program to vManage, right?
Mm-hmm.
vManage
Yeah.
where we will connect. So my program will connect to vManage with certain IP and port number with some username and password. It will create one session and then it will do operations. Now, when we will go and connect to vManage, we will connect with some methods, right? So that's the difference here we have. See, when we will go and connect to normal routers and switches, then we will go and use different packages like netmiko, paramiko, and abc.
Mm-hmm.
Those are different type of packages and methods that my switches, my routers can understand. But when we are automating these SDN devices, so connection is actually different. Behind the scene we are thinking, okay, we are doing some configuration, something is happening, but actually the connection, so we have to understand the connection. See, the Python logic will be one thing. So if we go here and try to understand the things, so let me go here. Where is our SD-WAN? One second, let me quickly open the SD-WAN automation. And one second. Okay, so what I'm telling here is this, that one second. So the logic that we are using. here is this, that we are learning the Python programming, for example, and this programming that we have within the Python, this actually we want to configure. In our case, we want to configure SD-WAN vManage. So our operation will be with the vManage. But we know that behind the scene that vManage can go and connect with their devices. So how vManage will go and connect with the underlay or overlay, whatever type of devices that vManage can manage. So suppose that vManage can go and manage. For example, I will go and have take only 3 devices. So vManage can go and manage the devices with some other protocol. It is using actually netconf. You know that behind the scene is the protocol is
Yes.
netconf.
Yep.
And here we are going to use some sort of post method, post method, or we are going to use some put method, or we are going to use some get method, or we are going to use some delete method. So my Python can go and use these methods behind the scenes. They are embedded within the REST API calls. REST API calls will go and call these methods related to post, put, get, and all those things. So that means that somehow I have to go and open a session with vManage, and then we will see that we have different tasks for different devices. Again, we have to further divide the task. The task is that I want to create a template, or I want to create policy, I want to create some feature template. So those will come whenever we are creating something. They are coming with the post method, right? When you are creating something, that will fall under the post method. If you want to retrieve some information, that is nothing but get method. If you want to update the object, that is nothing but put method. So one thing that we should understand is this: the communication that will happen in between the Python program where we are running the Python. Maybe my laptop, I can go and run the Python. So my laptop having Python editor, Visual Studio
Hmm.
Code, that will go and connect with vManage. And from vManage, so as per our program, we'll see that different type of big programs. What I want app route status. I want some status, so I will get it. I want the number of device with their serial number information. So this will interact, this will go and do some sort of query with vManage in terms of programming, and then vManage again, they will go and contact with these devices. Anyways, it has the database, it has the live database, so it can reply for those query, and those reply we will go and print in some nice format, so anyone can read those formats and understand that output. So that's the overall
Yep.
goal we have for
Yep.
the training, that we will achieve it
Um,
slowly. Yeah.
yep. Ratnesh, post is only if you're creating a new object at that address, right? At that this address. Put is if you're updating an existing object at that
Okay.
address, right?
Yeah.
I know ACI calls it a managed object, but
MO,
whatever
yeah.
the object is, right? Yeah,
MOs, yeah, that's right.
yeah. So,
So,
so post is new, put is an update to the existing, right? You're
yeah,
not going to post. You're not going to post to make an update, right?
yeah, yeah. And that's the reason we need the payload for this. So you want to create something new, you need some data. So for post, for put, you need some payload information. And then there is difference in between netconf and restconf. Netconf will understand only XML. That's why it's not that popular, because XML data format, data encoding method is not that great with respect to JSON. JSON is very much like you are reading some normal data structure, you will understand key and value pairs. So
Yes.
that's why we are going to
Yes.
use the REST API. REST API will understand JSON. So the payload that we can go and put here for post and for put, that will be in the JSON format. Even the output that we'll get from vManage to the output. So whatever output we'll get, that is also in the JSON format. But later on, we'll go and use Python packages like pandas, like Excel. Means they have features to create Excel sheets, to PDFs formats, and all those things. We can go and use those packages. So the JSON format will take some main key element from that output, and that will convert in Excel and Notepad or in any other format. That is again from the
Yeah.
Python trick,
Yep. Okay.
right?
Yep. Got it. Yeah.
All
Cisco
right.
likes Cisco likes XML. So they,
Okay.
even the Cisco tech, not TAC, but Cisco kind of advanced services guys, they always want XML for some reason. They're
All
used to
right.
it. I like JSON.
Yeah, it's like
Definitely
JSON because
JSON.
that is easy to understand. Let me go and
Yeah.
open that Python. One second. Where is the Python? Let's move to the. Okay, so we are doing some basic things related to Python, basic data structure examples. We are seeing that. Let's move on quickly,
Mhm.
and I'll write few of the examples for you. So variables and all these things, you know that if you have to type a command, single line command, a multi-line command, you can do it. Then this example, then if you are using boolean with condition, so is active, if the switch is active is true, so it will go and print this line. If it is false, it will go and print this line. So these condition statements are also good. Then you can see this is one of the very nice piece of code taken in between the in between in between from the big code, like if you have some 200 lines of code, from that 4 lines
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
taken. So here you can see that to draw the network topology, switch 01 is connected to 02, 01 is connected to 03. This is type of list, and in this list, so connection, you can see first of all switches, switch 1 2 3, they are part of list. Now you can see this particular list here, where you can see within list you have two entries, within list you have two entries, within list you have two entries. So if you have to go and check this one, this will be connection 0, and then this will be connections 1. So 0, so this is 0 and this is 1. So now if you go and use the for loop, and if you go and print this statement, so it will go and print like this, right? Let me show you this. Let me go and try to write this
Yep.
example here in the.
Yep. I get it. I completely get it. Yep. Yep. And I see the output there. These are good things to practice.
Yeah. So when you are practicing, where I have the test, so what you can do, you can go and use the comment, multi-line comment we have, and go here and we can comment, so it will not harm. Now we can go and write our code. Let me have some space here.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So this keeps Python from trying to run that script that you
Yeah.
just put in between the commented line.
Yeah, so this will not get executed because now this is part of comment.
Understood.
Huh?
Perfect. That's good. It's a good trick. Yeah.
So connections, and we have to create a list. Will start with this bracket, and within the list I have to go and create the switches. So oops, I can go and use this
The parentheses inside the list? What do we call what's in the parentheses?
this
Is that just
brackets.
yeah? Okay, the brackets signifies the list, right?
Yeah,
Anything
yes,
in
yeah. So
okay.
this is the list.
What
Yeah, later on we'll check the
what
dictionary as well, but this is list. So if you go and have,
okay,
say, for example, a, so these are the list entries. Suppose, for example,
list?
let me show this. So
Anything in the bracket
uh,
is a list, right?
yeah, so for example, items. Yeah, so items suppose A, B, C, D. So this is part of list items. So now if you go and print, so for example, if I go and print, say for example, items, and then if I go and use the number 0, so item and their number. Hmm. Because okay, tell
You're
me
trying to
why
get
this
it to
error is
print
coming.
A, right?
Why this error is coming? Tell
Um,
me.
uh, hold on, let me see. See,
Yeah,
you've got a
I'll give you the error.
variable pointing to a list. Go
I'll
ahead. Yeah,
see, two things are there, integer and a string. So these are the strings.
yeah.
If I do
So you're trying
one,
to get it to print A, right? You're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get it to print the first position, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
So now if you go and print, you will getting a, but you will get that also. But I'm telling that you will get this also, but you should put this under the
Quotes. Okay, gotcha.
quotes.
Yeah,
Okay.
gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah.
So now if you go and
These are good things. I mean, if someone isn't like me, right, if they're not clear on this simple little thing here, you spend God knows how long troubleshooting.
yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, when I'm taking normal classes, I'm writing all the lines, pieces, and everything. Like I have batch for CCNA DevNet, so where
Yeah.
I'm explaining everything, each and everything. Since these various small basic things, so I'm moving it fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you got to practice.
Yeah,
People have to practice. Everyone shows up for class, but then they don't practice. All right.
yeah, that's it. Let's comment this
Like,
and let's comment this and let's move
okay,
on.
good.
So connections, we want to create the list of switches. For example, in our example, if we have the switches,
Mm.
switch 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So
But
that is
that
mhm,
going back 1 second, sorry to cut you. That rule is interesting. You need quotes around the
strings.
text, the text string,
Yeah,
but you don't need the quotes around the integer string.
yeah,
That's
that's right.
interesting.
Because otherwise, how the program will understand that it is an integer or character?
Oh, okay.
If I
Yeah.
go and use that, then no, the significance will get lost. Even it will go and print
Okay.
one, but it will understand one as a character, not as an integer.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah.
Switch 01.
You
So
have
I
to
can
tell
go
it
and
where the string, you got to tell it where the string starts and ends, and that's what the quote does. Yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
So let's do this thing. So that's the good thing about programming, that copy paste thing is working. So I can go and copy
Yeah.
and paste.
Yeah, even Visual Studio Code does a good job now helping you predict what you want.
Yeah. So
That's
suppose one is
that's
connected
really
with two and one is connected with three. And for example, suppose two is connected with 3 or 4, like that. So this is, now you can see the list here where we have some variation. In this list we have this bracket. Within that bracket I have two character, think as a two items. They are separated with comma, and these strings are separated with quotes on top, you can see. Oops, like that. So it is okay. Now I know that if any syntax error is there, it will throw an error and it will tell, oh, you're wrong. What we want, so what we want here, let me go and use a print statement. I want to print network topology, right? And then I will go and use the for loop. This for loop is something that I have used for all DNA and SD-WAN and all those programming stuff. So the for loop we have,
very, very, very common, right?
yeah, for what I want to use, I can use any number here. So for topo, for example, topo in connections. You can see this syntax, and
So the
when you
first
have the
the first the first word
this can be
is
anything.
your is arbitrary. That's you're naming the for loop with that,
Yeah.
right? And then the
So
next one you're calling a variable, right?
this one, yeah,
Or yes, gotcha.
this
Yeah,
one. And since it's a condition, so you have to give a colon. And since
yeah,
we are in the condition, we are within the condition, so you have to give some space. By default, Visual Studio will give you the space here. But in CCI exams, you have to go and press spaces so you can reach
yeah.
just below here. And then what
So
we
so
want to,
four spaces there, right? Four?
yeah, four
Four spaces.
spaces are
Okay,
there.
so let me go back for 1 second, just for this confused me for a while. I don't like when you did it great there. You came up with an arbitrary name topo in connections, and anyone can clearly see you're calling the connections variable, right? I hate when some programmers do for connections in connections or for data in data. It's like, guys, we don't know, a new student doesn't know which one is calling you know what I'm saying? Which
Yeah,
position.
yeah,
So I love that you did that. As simple as that is, that helps the student. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then we
Okay.
can go and print. So what we want to print? We want to print switch 01 connected to switch 02. Like we want to print the topology. That's the idea.
Yes.
So I can call this because I'm going to call the variables name. So I can use this f function, and then we
Yeah.
can call the connections there, connections numbers. So here we can go, and because we are calling the variable, so for that to call the variables, we have to go and use this type of parenthesis where you can go and call the variables. So we can go and use connections, and number one in the list and number two. So number one will be 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then number two will be 1. So this
Comma
one
one.
and this one. So now
Mm-hmm.
we can go and give any statement. So I can go and
So
give,
0, 1, or okay. I
yeah,
thought you were
so
gonna print.
connections, you will see the output. So connections 0 means this one,
Okay.
switch 01. So
Okay.
this means, so let's see here.
I was thinking 0 would mean switch one, comma, switch two, everything in the parentheses.
Yeah, let's see.
It could-
The
yes. Okay.
good
But
thing
let's see.
about our program that, so
Text.
you can see here.
Yeah. Yeah. See, it prints the whole thing. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
anything
So
within the parentheses is a position in the list.
yeah. So connections 0. We want to
Mhm.
add. Now this is good. This is good here. This is good example here that we want to print like this. Now let's see. So if I go and print, see the variable and then the topo and then the 0.
Mhm.
So this loop will run 1, 2, 3 times, right? 1, 2, 3 times. So let's run
Hmm.
this.
Hmm. Interesting.
Now you will see that this is
Okay.
running, and this what I want to print, actually I want to print this, see, is connected with, I will not print that with, understand this, CLS, see, I want to print a topology switch 01 is connected with switch 01 is connected to switch 0. So first item is connected with, why? Because we are in condition, and in this condition I can go and print the topo from topo, or I can print in connections as well. So I have both
Mhm.
the things that I can go and print. I can, if I go and call
Print
this
both.
connections, then it will call these connections, and inside that the items within the connections. If I go and
Mm.
call this topo, so simply it is printing the topo is connected with. So for example, I can go and write here again, I want to print the variable topo, right? suppose 1, and now if you go and run this, so now you can see that I want to print the network topology. Switch 01 is connected to 1 is 3, 2 is 2 is 3, 1 is 3, like that. It is printing. This is just the logic we are discussing here. Now what I can do here, that I can go and give this slash n as well, just to make some space, new line character space. And now you can
Mm-hmm.
see that we have the space here, and then we are printing this line items.
Yep, I got
Now,
it. Yep.
try to understand this, because this logic is something that we are going to use again and again and again in the
Over and
SD-WAN.
over and over.
Yeah,
Yeah, gotcha.
it
Gotcha.
will be used there in our SD-WAN training heavily, because when you have the API, so what will happen in the SD-WAN classes, URL equal to your API URL, right? So, and this will be part of some function, say function, for example, that will be delete something, then URL, and then from URL you will get some response. And once you have the response, then you will go and put the condition same like this, and then you print
to
the number of
to
items one by one by one by one. These things
to
will add.
extract.
Yeah,
So I'll get some data, and then I will look at the data and find the keywords or the names that I want to extract from that long list of data. And the
100%.
looping is going to parse the data for whatever I tell it to look for, and print it right to a file or something, right?
100%.
That action happens over and over, right? And the more, the better you are at even some of the tricks of this looping and stuff in this area, the better your output will be, right?
100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right. So let's move to the other example. Now you can see the condition I have. So condition that we have here, let's try to understand the condition that if I can go and print, see this condition. Now what I can do here with this condition, I'll make switch 01 is active. I'm just playing around with the use cases, or switch 01 is inactive. So what will happen if I go and run this program related to one of the if else, and later on also in this example you have the if else statements. So if I go and run this program related to if and else, what will happen? What is the condition? What we are matching? Is active if false. So what if is matching? If is matching the condition which is what? False. So what it will
False,
print?
yeah.
Else. So
Print,
that means if
right.
you go and execute this program, switch
Okay, so
zero
hold
one
on.
is in.
Let me catch up to you. So we have a variable here, is active equals false. So if is active is false, print the switch one is active. For everything else, meaning true or blank or anything, print switch one is inactive.
Yeah.
So,
So point here is this, that if condition is true, if
uh-huh,
condition is 1, true means 1. So if boolean is 1, if it is true, then print this statement.
yeah,
Otherwise, go to this.
okay.
So here
For for
condition
ev-
is
for
false. So if I go and make
um
this as a true,
so anything other than false, anything, it will
any
print switch one is
100%.
inactive. Okay,
100%.
gotcha.
So now you can see if this condition is true. So if it is true, so if it will go here and check if true.
Hmm.
So that means it is
Right,
true, because is active is what? Is active is
right,
true. So if
right,
true,
right.
print this.
Yeah,
So now you
right,
can see that switch 01 is active,
right.
right?
Gotcha. Or something else here in the else, right? Else print none, or something like that, right? Just
Yes,
keeps it, even if you don't need switch one is inactive, you put something there just to close the loop and make it clean, right?
yeah,
Maybe like print none or print not found or something like that.
Yeah, so we'll see that we have different type of if else statement. If,
Gotcha.
else, if,
Got,
else,
gotcha.
else if, like that. So we have the chaining of if else condition here. This is just the day one, so we are checking this, easy examples. Now
Understood.
here you
Yeah.
can see one example related to VLAN. So
Mhm.
see this example, VLAN 10, 20, 30, and you have to print the VLANs, right? Now we can see the power here for this looping condition. So I have one loop condition here. Now I understand that how loop is working. So what I can do now, that with that loop condition, I want to create one example related to print the VLANs. So I'll make the name as a VLANs, and then this, because the VLANs that we have VLAN 10, 20, because these are the integer, 30, 40, 50, right? They're the
Mhm.
integers. Now I want to print VLANs, or I want to print VLAN. Then now,
Mhm.
uh, for example, topo can be anything.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
topo in VLANs,
Mhm.
print what you want to print. Simply print.
How, yeah. How about the first position and the last position? Is that so? Print zero and is there a
That is very easy. If you want to print first and last, so simply I can go here and I can go and print, uh, say VLANs, for example, 0 and then
zero and
comma
is there a code for
VLANs.
last?
Yeah, so I can
There
print
is there
like
a code
this.
for last in the list or as
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah, we have that those options as well, that we want to print the
okay,
last, or we
yeah,
want to print from
yes,
second to last, and so we have that
gotcha, yeah,
options, like we can have some colon options, and we can do that. But we'll see that. I have examples for
okay,
that.
okay,
Later
perfect,
on,
yeah,
we'll see that example. So
yeah,
whatever we learn so far with respect to those learning, we want to print this, and we want to see this example. Now, if you go and run the test, now you can see that since we are using VLAN 0, so it is printing the first number. And
mhm,
in the
yeah,
looping condition, you can see that we are using the loop condition here. So it is printing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You can see this
oh, okay,
printing
let
the.
me hold on, let's print, okay, topo in VLANs, print f string topo, okay, you're printing the loop and it's looping through the list, okay, simple but good, yeah,
Right. So what we have done here, you can see that in our example, we created almost 30 lines program here, where we are checking the condition, this is a little bit complex, where we are learning the nesting of list with the for loop. Then we are understanding the integer, and then the characters, and little bit of mathematical operations. So small things we are adding, and later on these small things will become complex. We
bigger,
will see.
bigger
Yeah.
things, yeah, yeah, perfect,
So
perfect.
we have done this, and then we have done this topology as well. So what we have done basically, as per our training, you will see that, oops, we have completed up to 12 pages, and your
Okay.
task is this, that it has only 74 pages. So your task is that you please go and continue
Practice.
this practice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what we'll do, that you have time, right? We can continue tomorrow.
What's tomorrow? Wednesday?
Yeah, for
No, no.
me,
What's tomorrow?
it
Yeah, tomorrow's
is
Wednesday. Let me check something real quick to make sure. Yeah, only day I can't is Thursday, but tomorrow, let me check. Wednesday, July 3rd. Yeah,
tomorrow
yeah,
is
when
Wednesday.
tomorrow's fine.
Tomorrow is fine. So we'll
Tomorrow's
let me
yeah,
go
tomorrow's fine.
and stop the
Tom
recording. Let me
yeah,
stop the
tomorrow's
recording.
fine. I can't do Thursday.
Thank you. What we will learn today, we are going to learn about the modules and functions, in Python, and then we will go and check few of the use cases related to loop condition, like what's the use of for loop, what's the use of while loop, and the condition like if else. So these things I will try to cover today. These are also very, very important because these are small concepts. Later on, they will be becoming a part of big package, like big automation script that we are going to learn later on in this class. So let's understand this module and functions. I have created slides for that. Two things are there. You can see the modules is something that everything here is program. So module is also a program, but that has certain piece of code. So can be defined as a function, classes, variables that we can utilize or call within the program. So for example, if I want to add 2 plus 2, so I need one function to add those numbers, so I can go and use some mathematical function. So I can go and import math function, and then math related operations I can go and use within the program. What we are going to do in our use cases in our SD-WAN Python integration is this, that we are going to create our own functions. So we'll go and create a small modules, or in other words, a small functions for different objectives, and those functions we will go and call within the main function. So that is going to be our overall approach related to when we are going to create the modular programming. When we have the big programs, then in that we have the framework. In that framework, we'll go and create the functions, and then that functions we will go and call within the main function, right? And we need to import the packages as well. Obviously, we need to use call import the packages. Suppose if your operation is to work with a REST API, then you have to go and import something called request, import request. So that import request means you are calling the request package from the Python. So that will help us to do the basic operations related to REST API. If you do not import that package, if you run that program, it will throw error. It will tell you, oh, sorry, this is missing. And then after that, you can go and do pip install request. Likewise, suppose your JSON output, you want to print in table format, tabular format. Then you have to go and import some packages like import tabulate. So in that, they will go and print the output in the tabular format. So like that, in the upcoming session, you will see at least we will import, minimum will import 10 functions, or minimum will import 10 packages in our
Mhm.
program. We want to print the result in Excel format, so we have to import something. If we want to print something in PDF format, so we have to import some packages. If we want to do some REST APIs, we have to import a request. If you want to do operations related to JSON, you have to do import JSON. YAML, you have to import YAML. Like that, you will see that later on we are going to import so many functions. And not only that, later on you will see that in case of modular programming, we can import the functions, functions within the main function. These things we will see later on, the connections and all. Here you can see one a small example related to function, that will go and define a function. This is the way that we are defining a function. So definition, greet, and then we have some print statement. Obviously you have some space here, so print will start from here, print hello world, etc. And then once you go and call greet, it will print this statement, right? So we have the example today. We are going to learn a lot many examples today. This is correct. Define. Now you will see this is very important example. You will see that we are defining one function called configure VLAN, right? This is the name of the function, but within this you can see that we have the arguments, right? So you can see here that we have the
Mhm.
parameters. So let me write here 1 second. Let me use my pen here. So you will see that you have function, and within the function you are defining something. So those are nothing but the parameters. So parameters, so parameter one, and then parameter 2, and then when you are calling this function, you are giving the values, right? So these are nothing but the arguments with argument 1 and argument 2, etc. That means that you are defining this as a variable on top. This is the variable on top, right? So within the function, this is the power we have, and you may have hundreds of parameters. Later on, you have to go and provide those values. Those values are the arguments. The parameters, you should provide the
Mm,
arguments. So once you go and print this statement, means once you go and run this program, what it will do, it will print the VLAN ID 10 name
mhm,
management. So this will be
mhm,
passed here.
So whatever was defined in the VLAN ID argument, and that argument could be many things, right? It could be several different things, right? But whatever it is, it's defined by VLAN underscore ID, and your function is just calling it, right?
Yeah. So
Is that, does that
this
make
is
sense?
actually
Is that
100%.
mhm,
This is something that is very good example. Just 3 lines of code, but it is very useful. So these are the parameters that we are defining within the function. Now these parameters, when you are calling somewhere else in the program, so you are calling this function, but you are calling this function with argument. These arguments are nothing, but within arguments you are putting the value. So these
mhm,
arguments are the values. So when we are calling this function, it will go and execute this print statement, and that print statement will tell, oh, VLAN ID. This is the way we are
yeah,
printing the
yeah,
variable. So VLAN ID, it will go and take this 10, and then the
yeah.
VLAN name, it will go and take the name, like that.
So wherever, and Ratnesh, sometimes I like to speak so I know that I'm getting it right. Even if I know it already, I still like to speak it. So bear with me, because for me the conversation is where I make the money. I gotta sell it. So the VLAN ID, or those parameters, wherever they're defined in the program, and whatever they're defined as, it's not shown here in this snippet, but we're calling it with the configure VLAN function that's defined, right?
Yeah, it is here.
Yeah, it's so VLAN ID is there, but the value isn't shown, right?
Yeah. So
It's
VLAN ID
defined
value
the
is 10, and the VLAN name is management.
okay,
So no problem.
okay,
I can
okay,
understand
okay,
the
okay.
problem. Let's go and
Yeah, okay.
do this. Let's go and try to create this function.
Okay. I said it wrong. So we are actually defining the values here. Configure VLAN, we're giving it the value of
Yeah.
tenant management. I thought we were calling it from somewhere else. Okay.
So no problem. Let's go here
Okay.
and let's do one thing. See, if I go and create a function, say defining a function, say configure VLAN, right? How you're defining? So you are giving the VLAN ID, something like this, comma, VLAN name, right? When you are closing a function, you should use this. Now you want to use the print statement. Within the print statement, you want to print, right? So suppose I want to call the, say for example, VLAN ID. So VLAN ID is, for example, like this, VLAN ID, and then and VLAN name is VLAN name, right? Like that. So this is my function. Now, if this function is correct, let's save this first of all. I'll not do anything. If this function is correct, if we run this will not do anything, right? This will not do anything because You just define the function. You're not calling this function to do anything. Now, if you want
Mhm.
to do anything, you have to call it. You have just defined this function, right? Now, if you have to call this function, then you can call this a configure VLAN, and here you can give the VLAN ID, for example, because this is integer, so I can give like this,
Mhm.
and then the VLAN name. So because this is the string, so for example,
Mhm.
mgmt. So now we are calling the function. That means it will go and print 10 mgmt. So here you can see VLAN ID is 10. Now you are
Mhm.
calling this. So once you are calling this, this will go and put 10 here
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
management here. Now I can go here and paste this 2 times. Uh, I save that. Now you will see that, see, same thing I am
Mhm.
calling again and
Mhm.
again. But if I go here and if I
Yeah.
make this
Okay.
20, management 2, 30, management 3. So
Mhm.
what will happen now? 10, 20, 30. That's, you can see the reusability. This is you define
Mhm.
as a variable. This is nothing but the parameters. In these
Mhm.
parameters, you can pass any number of arguments, any number of time. So first time we are putting 10 management, next time 20 management to 30 management. Likewise, it is printing the output.
Mhm. Got it.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Got
All
it.
right. So let's move on. Flow of execution. We know that how this is working. It will go and call the function. Now you will see that we have one big example related to functions and main function. I told you that generally the modular programming is like this, that you are creating one main function, one bucket that is for main function. This is something like main.py, or think
Mhm.
this as a main function, and within this main function you may have sub functions. So you can go and call those functions n number of time, n number of time, n number of time, and then what you are doing, sorry, n number of time, then what you are doing, that by the end of all these functions, you are creating one main program where you are calling function, say function 1, I should give like this, then function 2,
Mhm.
and then dot dot dot. Finally, we will go and use function n.
Mhm.
So that's the modularity we have. Now you can see here this example that I have two functions. I'm going to define one configure VLAN and then uh, setup network. Now you will see the differences as well. Difference here is this, that configure VLAN, the switch name, VLAN ID, VLAN name. But network setup, this is one of the function where I am calling this function again and again and again. So we'll see I am calling configure VLAN, configure VLAN, configure VLAN, configure VLAN, same thing 6 times. So I have one function which will do something, and other function is something that I am calling the first function 6 times. So one
Mhm.
time with switch name management, VLAN 10 HR, 20 HR, 10 management, 30, etc., etc. Like some VLAN number and VLAN name, like that I am calling it. So
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
I have two function, one function and one function within function. Like one function I am calling these functions.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then what I will do here, that I will go and define one main function. You can see this is the way that we are writing the programs. Then we have one main function. In
Mhm.
this main function, what I'm doing, I'm calling simply one function, setup network. And this is the way that we are calling the main function. This is something that is hard coded, something like that. So if main equals to main, call main. If you call the main will go and call the setup, and setup network will go and call the configure VLAN 6 times.
Mhm.
Right. So let's try to build this
Mhm.
program.
Okay.
But this is one good example we have. Okay. I need this statement, just this statement. So what we want? We want to print the okay, 1, 2, 3 statements are there. VLAN, okay, I can give in one line as well. Switch name, VLAN ID, VLAN name, and 3 parameters. That's it. So this function, we have VLAN ID, VLAN name, and what I can do here, I will go and if you want this program, it's okay. I'll go and create new one. Let me go and write one new, and let me go and just a second. I will create a new 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So here I will go and add one extra parameter, that's a switch name, right? Now we have switch name, VLAN ID, VLAN name. Now I want to print. So like that, I will go and print say switch name or host name, or better I'll go and do host name is say host name is the switch name, right? So instead of 3 statements, I can go and print this in one statement, this in one statement, this in one statement. But you can see that I can go and print switch name. Host name is switch name, VLAN is this, and this. Now this configure VLAN I can call 3 times, but you can see here I will go and give say switch 01. I should give within the say like that. I can do within the like this within the commas, double comma. If you are using this, use this both side. If you are using this, use this both side, otherwise it will throw error. So since we are using this type of uh, commas, what not commas, what is this?
That is a double quote.
Double quotes, yeah. So either
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
use double quotes or you use
Or
single quote.
single. Yeah.
If you
Hmm.
mix, then it will throw error. So we'll use this double quotes and paste here and paste here, and suppose this is 2, this is 3, like that. Now let me go and run this program, a small program. First of all, we'll make sure that this is correct. So now you can say
Hmm.
host name is switch 1, VLAN is 10, this, right? Now we have one creation program. Now, if you see the logic that we have, that I have this define, but this portion that configure VLAN blah, 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 that we will call within other functions. So I will go and define setup network where I will go and call the first function. So what I can do here, that I can go here and create one, create one more function. Say for example, setup, you have to define, right? So define setup network colon like this. And since you are calling this, so you should give some
4 spaces.
spaces. Yeah, 4 spaces. Yeah. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Right. And now simply let's check this. So I will call setup network, and we'll see. So we are calling setup network instead of this function. We are calling this. Now this is not the task. Now what we have to do, that we want to create the main function, right? So for the time being, let's comment this, and we want to define a main function. Any function you have to define like this, and then print start printing network setup, and you can give new line character, and then you can call that function called setup network, and then you can print, end the, or maybe complete the task, right?
Hmm.
Okay, now if we go here and if we call main, let's say, so you'll see the output here that start printing network setup, hostname, blah, 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 and then task completed, that we are calling within the main function. But while building the main function, let me show you that, then we'll go and build that. Building the main function, we should go and use this way of calling the main function. So what I will do, I will go and give this condition, and then I will call the main function. This is something like a structure that we are following. So I can go here and I need to add one condition here. One condition I need to add here, and I can add and it will work. Coding, yeah. So we have to put a condition here, and something that we should use. Generally, it is there, like if name underscore underscore type string equal to, and then you can give its name equal to main, and then obviously the condition. If you have any function, any condition, so you have to give this colon. And then since we have conditions, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can go and run this program. See, so how we are building the functions, you can see a step by step, we have we learn that first we created very a small function. If you create the function, you will not do anything, it will not do anything, right? Then you have to call that function. So once you're calling that function, remember that you have the parameters, you have the arguments, and these arguments are nothing but the values. So these parameters that they are the placeholders, they are the variables. N number of times we can go and fill the arguments values in that, and it will work, right? So when we are calling the function, it is printing the result. Then what we have done, we created one function and then we created other function. Now you can see the difference in these functions. In these functions, I have 3 different parameters, but the other function that I am calling, there I don't have anything. I created this function just to call the other function, and we can call n number of time those functions. Now within this function, you can see that we are calling the config VLAN 3 times, but again we are creating one main function where we are calling the setup function, and then within the main we are executing our program. So this is the standard format we have to the program, to the functions within functions.
Got it. Yep.
Okay, okay, great. All right, so now you understood this. When you create this program and execute, you will feel very happy. because because
This is.
it's something like you can put anything there. Making tea, coffee today, drinking coffee 6 a.m., like that. You can create your own
Hmm. Hmm.
funny name as
Yeah.
functions and values, like I'm watch, sunglasses, or shoes, a watch, you can give any brand name. Glasses, you can
Hmm.
give any brand name. Money, like $10,000 in your purse, like that you can create, right? And
Yeah,
you can execute.
it's fun when you understand it, all right, and you can execute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen these functions in a separate functions file, and then the program goes into a different file or two different files. So yeah, I've seen the structure, just haven't spent enough time doing it. But I'm gonna change that with your class.
Sure.
Gotta practice. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So next topic we have is Very interesting and very useful. That is unit number 2. Now we are in day number 2. This is these topics are really good and you should understand. So you can see the conditions like if condition, if else, chained condition, if else, iterations like while, for loop, break, continue. These are very, very important functions we have, operations we have, and we can utilize these operations in our networking automation as well. Now the condition like if else, one by one I'll go and show you the example. So if else, what is that condition? If this will happen, otherwise, or else this will happen. So here you can see one networking related example. Although this example I created little bit tough examples, because in networking you will get such type of examples. So here you can see that we have list of switches and their status. So I have one list called switches. In that I have inventory for switches 101, 102, 110. Why I took the name? Because in CCI exam we have switch name like this, and this
Hmm.
automation is script can work for CCI as well. So that's why I created such examples. So
Hmm.
101, 101, 110, like that. This is actually access switch, and these are the distribution switch in the practice labs. Okay, so now you can see that status. So later on, when we'll go and learn about complex data structure, you will see that there is one data structure called dictionary that is represented as a JSON. The dictionary and JSON formats, they are very much matching. So they are matching as a key and value. So you have key and value pair, key and value. So
Hmm.
status, active, VLANs 1020. So you can think this is key and value, but you have this as a list. So you have list and you can see they are separated by commas. So this is first entry, this is second entry, this is third entry, and within entry itself you have a status and VLAN. So this is my inventory.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you where's the close parentheses, but now I see it at the bottom, at the left there, bottom left. Yes, sir. Yep. Okay, good.
So we have the inventory. Now what we want with this inventory, now we'll see the power of function that we have. So we have one function. That function is check switch status. And in that we have the parameter. What is the parameter? Parameter is the switch name. Right. So this is one of the function we are defining with one of the parameters. So what it will do? What it will do here, you will see that condition if else, if, see switches means what? This, and within this switches, switch name, you have the switch name, right? Switch name. So within switches, switch name status is active. Now in this list, which are the switches which is active? 101, 110.
Hmm.
These two, right? So that means we are matching this and this. Then print switch is active, else print switch is inactive. And then we are
Mm.
calling the function uh, switch check switch status for 101 and 110. So if I go and execute this statement, then what will happen? And if I go and execute this statement, then what will happen? We will see that. Let's go and try
Hmm.
to write this example and then try to understand all these steps, the conditions and everything.
Yeah,
So
that's
let's
a
go.
nice one. This is a nice one. Yeah, really
Let's
nice.
go and try to
Hmm.
build this logic. I'll do one thing. You can go here and 1, 2, 3. What happened? Okay, disabled, right? Now let's go and build our program. I need some more space. So let's go and create these switches. Switches equals to, and then we have to create list of list. What I want. Switch 101, right? Switch 101. What is that switch 101?
I don't remember. I have to look back at the function
No
list.
problem. Let's build the, so we want to match the switch 101 status and VLAN. So we'll go and match the status.
This is a list, right? This is just a
Yeah,
key value pair, right? And so
yeah.
you're building the list right now.
Yes, because these are the strings, so whenever we build the string, we should put these double quotes, right, within the quotes.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Integer doesn't need anything, but string needs the
yeah,
double or single
and
quotes. Yeah.
after that key value. So this is the key and value. So I should give the active, and then I need other as well. I need VLAN information as well. So I should go and use the VLANs. Everything should be within the this VLANs, and within VLAN what we have VLAN 10 and we have VLAN 20. Oops. So we have VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So we can go and give, because we have two. So I can go give 10 and 20 just to make sure that this is correct. We'll go and print this first.
Okay.
Hmm. So if I go and use the print statement,
Let's see.
switches,
Switches. Yeah. Yeah.
give some space here. Okay, so you can see that we are able to print, right?
Yeah. It looks good.
Switches
Yep.
status is active and VLANs like this. Although when we are printing, they are printing a single quote, but here we have
Mm.
this double quotes,
That's
right?
interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That's
All right, so
interesting.
let's go and add more, because that's the programming. Once you have one line, then you have the other line. I'll make this true. I'll leave this VLAN 1020 only, because main condition we are matching is the status. So suppose this is inactive. So two are active, and other one is inactive, or maybe other one is inactive, like one active, two inactive, and VLANs. So this is what, this is my inventory, and we should give comma here, otherwise this will throw error. So now if I go and print, just to make sure that this piece of code is correct, so I can see that it is printing.
Mm.
So my inventory is correct. Now what we want, we have to define one function. That function, what that function will do, check something. So define check the switch, right? And then where we are passing the switch name or something, you can give every XYZ, whatever, XYZ, anything, right? Uh, switch name. Since this is a function, within this function we are putting the parameters, right? And you should complete this by this colon. Now we'll go and put the condition. So what condition we have? We are going to check that if the switch status is active, then print this, else print this. So we are going to use the if else condition here. So let's do that. If switches is switches, yeah, then what, in the switch we want to match the switch name, right? So match the switch. So many switches I have, and if condition you can match with the operator. What you want to match actually here, want to match the status, right? You know that whenever you have the condition, it will end with colon. So now you'll see that this is the list. Oops, this is not matching, something is wrong. SWITCH. Okay, okay, now it is up. So this is the list. In this list we have the arguments like switch name, status is active. If it is active, then you want to print something. I am in if. Now, then, if it will not match, then where you will go? You will go to else, and then print I am in else. You can see no error is there. If you go here and active this will throw error active, and after that you have the issue. So now we have created this logic. Understanding this logic, this is okay. We have created this, and now we are matching the switches, and the switch name status is active. Then it will print if. That means if we go and call this function with, if we go and call this function with switch 101, this will get executed, right? So let's do this. I will go here and give switch 101. I'm calling this. You're there, Kevin? You're able? Hello? Hello.
Yes, I'm here. No, I'm here. I'm with you.
Alright, so not defined switch 101. Why we are getting this issue?
Let's see. Switch 101 is not defined. Did you mean switch? Typo?
So no problem. You can see actually they will tell you that which line you have issue. So it is telling that line number 80.
Wait,
So
line
why
80.
it is
Okay.
throwing this error? Because when you're calling the values, this is what, this is a string, right? So when you call this string, it should call like this.
Oh, you got to match it to how it's presented above.
Say
Okay.
I'm in if.
Gotcha.
Now
Okay.
if you go
Okay. Good.
and
Yeah. Good.
do this thing, let's run this 3 times. Oops. Oops. V and V 102 110, right? Oops, what happened?
Line
Key error switch 110.
74.
So do we have this matching in our list? Oh, 103. I created 103.
No,
No
you don't
problem.
have a switch 110.
Yeah, 103
Nope.
is there. Yeah,
Typo. Yeah.
no
Messed
problem.
up. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
see, first is
It's
matching.
good that you give some errors. It's good you give some errors on purpose so we can see.
Yeah, because when you start building this, you will see sometimes this colon, sometimes something will happen. But these are very good
Yeah.
examples. You can see these are not that easy. uh, Like it's okay.
This one is excellent. This one is excellent. Yeah.
So you can practice this example as well, and then we
Yes.
can go and check
Yes.
the
Perfect.
condition. Today we'll to check one more condition, and then we'll stop. Okay, let's see what is there in
Okay.
next.
Perfect. Yeah.
So likewise, you can practice if else. This is the same example, active inactive. Then I have added one more example related to if else. So what will happen if this will happen? If this will match, print this. If this will not match, then go to else. But if no condition matching if and else, then what? Then this thing will come into the picture. So you can see that we have if, see, switch name is not in switches, switch not
Hmm.
found, VLAN ID, VLAN is already configured. So you can say if else, if this will match. Okay,
Mhm.
if VLAN ID is matched, so we have actually three conditions here. Means this is yes and no, and this is something that this is not matching anything. So within
Yeah,
if and
that's
else, we have elif.
so
We have one more condition.
okay, so one second, let me so if is okay, here's a condition, okay, and then if it matches and then print all the matches, print all the matches of if, right? Then everything else, which is else, print that, right?
Yeah. So
Right?
we have the same
Now,
condition like if else, but we have elif as well. If is not there, then go to elif and then go to
mhm,
else. That is the last condition we have. I'm going to show you
okay,
all these three hits in the example. So we'll see
okay,
that when it
okay,
will go and hit if condition, when it will go and hit the elif, when it will go and hit the else condition.
else.
So,
Gotcha,
but in this
gotcha.
example, you will see it's a nice example here that we are checking the switch inventory. Suppose switch. So here you can see in the list we have 101, 102, 110. So if I go and execute this configure VLAN 10120, so 101 is there. So this will not get printed. If I go and execute this statement, what will happen? This statement will not get printed because switch not in switches. It is already in this. So then it will check this condition. In this condition, what? VLAN ID in VLAN, VLANs. VLAN is already configured. So VLAN 20. Do you have VLAN 20? Yes. So it will tell. So what will happen? This will get printed. This will get printed. Why? Because already you have VLAN 20 here. That will match and it will tell that VLAN 20 is already configured. Now, if I go and give condition here, for example, 30. If I go and give switch 101 comma 30, then what will happen? This is there, so this will not get executed. VLAN 30 is not already configured, so this will also not happen. Then it will check this condition. In this condition, what it will do, that since this is not configured, so this we are using one append function. So now what it will do, it will go and add VLAN 30 in the output. So it will tell, okay, switch name 101, append VLAN 30, number 30, and print the 30 with VLAN with the switch name 101. Right? Again, let's try to understand one more time. Let's do one thing. Let's write this program and try to understand from there. So that will be better option. We'll understand more with the examples. The good thing is this, that we have this inventory file. Now I have to go and create only these conditions. Right? Okay, so let's do it. Okay. Okay, we have 10 minutes. I will try to complete in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, come here. So I have the inventory. Now what I want, I will go and create one function with conditions, right? So def, oh, check
Function name, parentheses, colon,
the VLAN like that. Check the VLAN,
yeah. Function name, parentheses, colon.
switch like that. I can give any name.
Yeah.
Here what we want, here we have the,
Parentheses, and open and close parentheses. Even if the parentheses is empty, it's a it's it
so we are
works, right?
defining a function, we are giving the name, and then we have the parameters, right? Switch name and VLAN ID. Later on in these parameters, we will call some arguments values. Now we have to start the condition. So we have to go and start if and then elif and the else like that, right? So if what we
Mm-hmm.
want to match, what exactly we don't want to match.
Mm-hmm.
So if switch name here,
Mm-hmm.
if switch name is not in the switches, this.
Mhm.
Okay. So then I
Mhm.
want to print the if condition such not found, like that. You can give.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is if. Now what is next we want to do now? So we are checking the switches first, then we'll go and check the VLANs. So elif, we'll go and use the condition elif, where we'll go and try to match the VLAN. So elif, say
Mhm.
VLAN ID, we have this second argument is what? VLAN ID. Second parameter is VLAN ID. So what we want to match with VLAN ID? VLAN ID in the switches. And now we can go and check the switches like these switches. And in switches you have this list, and in this list you can go and match the VLANs, right? So switches, oops, because this is the list where the switch name, and in this what you want to match the VLAN, right? VLANs. What you want to print here, that print L if condition exists, something like that. Now finally we want to come out from this if elif 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 elif, like after if you can give n number of elif, there is no problem on that.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, you
Okay.
can give n. Then finally you want to come out from these conditions. So if an n number of elif,
A question
uh
for you. Would you expect only a single if, many elifs, and only a single else? Is that the basic structure, or
yeah,
can there be
generally
or can there be several if and several else?
generally, you see in our programming, will not need this. If else will solve the purpose, and the for loop and while
Okay.
loop will solve the purpose. So we'll not go this
Okay.
much detail until unless we are creating the menu based program. Like if you have this, then do this. If you have this, then go to option 3. If you have this, go to option 4 and all. But anyways, just for
Okay.
our learning purpose, if we have to match multiple conditions, then you have this
Hmm.
option. If else means you may have 10 decisions to take, like suppose building the routing table conditions, routing
Hmm.
table based on, for example, EIGRP. So they have
Hmm.
4 to 5 different values, on that they are matching the conditions. So one condition will not match. So
Hmm.
select the best path based on the attributes. What are the attributes?
Hmm.
Bandwidth, delay, reliability, MTU, right? So there these things
Hmm.
will come into picture when you have to match multiple conditions. If only
Yes.
one condition, then if else is fine.
That works
Generally you
fine.
will
Okay.
not have such type of complexity, but
Okay.
we should know the structure and
Know
all
how
those
to
things.
do it. Okay. Understood. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So now in
Hmm.
this case, what we want to see, so now we are matching the switch, but in that switch VLAN is not there. So we'll go and add extra VLAN.
Hmm.
So in this case, we can go and print. At the
Hmm.
moment, I'll go and print this.
Hmm.
Later on, I'll go and add something. Uh, Print the else condition, add VLANs. First of all, I just wanted to execute this program, make sure that there is no syntax error. So once you run this program and it is not throwing error, that means things are okay. Now we can go and call this function. So now I can go
Hmm.
here and call this a check the VLAN, and then you should give the say switch 101 comma, for example, VLAN 10. Oops, you can see big error here. The error 10 should be like this, and so immediately it will tell you that the error is there.
Yeah.
Let me go
If
here
else, if
CLS.
VLAN
Let's
exists.
see. So running this print elif condition. So in this case, the VLAN exists. So the first condition was that if this is not in the if condition is that this switch is not in the inventory. So if it is not in the inventory, that is the first match, it will tell the switch is not there. If switch is not there, then there is no need to adding removing the VLANs. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, check
Mm-hmm.
the switch is there in the inventory or not. So for example, if I go and give 4, which is not there in list. Now if I go and run, it will go and print the first statement, the if statement. Print the if condition switch not found because 104 is not in the inventory, right? But now we
Mm-hmm.
have the switch and we have the VLAN, then it will go and tell you that this switch is there with the correct VLAN. So
Mm-hmm.
now if we go and run, it will go and print the elif condition. Now if we go and put something called 50 here, so now you have the switch, but you do not have the VLAN. So then it will print the else statement, print the else condition and add the VLAN.
Mm-hmm.
Got the point? So how to add the
Yes. Yep.
VLAN? Let's go and add the VLAN and then we will stop. So you can see that we are using an append function to add the VLAN. So we have the switches, switch name VLANs. Like here in the condition, we are using switches, switches VLAN. But here you can go and use the append function. So let's go back here and I can go here and use the same value that we have in elif, but we'll go and use one. These things you will see again and again in the actual examples, append and reverse
Yes.
and all those things.
Yes. Yes.
So we want to use inbuilt function called append
Mm-hmm.
and VLAN ID, because VLAN ID 50, it will go and call. So now if we go and print this statement, so this is executing, but we should add one line more here, like added VLAN or adding the VLAN, and then you should go and give the VLAN ID. Since you are printing the function within this print statement, so it should be starting with F. Otherwise, this will not work. See, if I remove F, you see the color. So let me show you this result first, and then
Yes.
so it is printing this
Okay.
as a integer, not as a variable value.
Mm.
And now if we go and add that, it will show you that it is adding 50.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So these are the conditions. This is little bit complex condition, if, elif, else,
Yeah. Yes.
and
Perfect. No.
we have
Perfect.
completed.
I like it. I like it.
So I will upload the
Okay.
video. Yeah.
Yeah. Upload the video. Stop the video. I want to ask you a quick question before.
Thanks for joining. Today is day number 3, and today we have very important session because we are learning the basics, and these basics later on they will go and add. You know, if we go and add all these basics later on, it will become big script, and later on we'll find that these small things that we are doing now, it will become very useful. One of the use case I am going to show you today only. Although we are learning normal Python related operations, like what is different type of data structure and the conditions. Last time we have discussed about two condition, if else and if elif else. Today we'll go and learn about other loop condition. Other loop condition we have, we can see here that we have this while loop, and then we have for loop. So these loop conditions today we'll go and explore on that. Although you can see that condition is something that till the loop is there, till the loop is there, it will go and continue print these statements. And at the moment it will go and match the condition. So if we'll go and increase the iteration more than 3, that means this will become false. So after that, this loop will exit, and then you are come out of the loop. So after that, it will not go and print any of the statement. Now this is one of the nice example where you can see that we have loop under loop. So I have one while loop, and inside this while loop we are running this for loop, right? So we'll go and explore this example. Let's explore this example related to while loop. First of all, on top you can see that we have the inventory. We have this dictionary type of inventory where we have the switches, their status, and their VLAN. Switch, status, and VLAN. So we have the key value pair. So this is our inventory. Now in the actual program that we may run in the production network, or maybe in the test environment, there you may not have such type of inventory. In that examples, you will go and directly log into ITSM tool, that may be your source of truth. So the information that you want to get to log in and check certain parameters, that may be ITSM tool, or maybe you have your SD-WAN fabric, and from vManage you are managing the devices. So from vManage will go and log into the devices. And in case of Cisco DNA is the automation platform. For that you have to write your code in terms of APIs, and there are so many APIs. So those APIs will log into the devices. Via the API will log into the devices and will get the dynamic inventory. In this case, this is something called fixed type of inventory or a static inventory, that you may get like this, or you may have Excel sheet where you want to read those switches, those entries, or you have some notepad from where you're reading the routers or switches name. So this is our inventory. Now in this inventory, what we want to print the status of the switch. So we want to print the status of the switch. You can see this condition, for condition for switch in switches, monitor switch, because this is some parenthesis, that means it will go and check first switch, then second switch. See this for condition, what it will do, what for condition is doing, it is printing the statement one by one, right? For condition means it will go and print things one by one. So let me go here and let me show you the basic example, and then they will go and add something on that. I'll go and remove this. We have our folder called day2 and day3, no problem. I can go and write here as well. Let me go and remove this. So what we want to check for loop. So suppose I have a. First I'll show you an example, and then we'll go and create, say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, right? So now I can go and create one for loop for list items in A, right? Let me know if you are able to hear me and you can see my screen. You can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
All good. Yep.
Then we can go and print these entries because this is a for loop. So you can simply go and print like this, say, list items. Now if I go and run this program, take some space here. So python.exe, where is this test saved? Oh, it is not here in this. I am in wrong folder seems. So let me go to that folder. CD. What is that folder name? CCNA. I think this, and okay, unit, I think 3, 4, and then that program, that is Python. You can see CLS. See, So what this for loop is doing here is this, that it is printing the items one by one till it will go and reach to the end of the list, right? Now same type of condition I am going to show you. The logic will be almost the same, like this. And this is one of the logic that will be used again and again in our programming. You will see this. So I'll go here. I'll go here and do 1, 2, 3. Now what we want? Let's go and I need that switch inventory. So either I can copy or paste. Last time we have created the switch inventory. So let me quickly go and take it actually. Let me take that. So let's see. I can go and use any of my program. I don't know, maybe this 3.3 or 3.2. So let me check that. Can I use more or something? How I can read the file? 3. Okay. So here I don't have. Let me check 1. I just wanted that inventory. So on top of that, I can go and run my programs. Let me check my 3. Actually, that was there in my previous programs in unit 2 and 3. Unit 1, 2, yeah. So more. It was there in any of the program, maybe 2A or something. 2A, you can see we have this. I just wanted this. So I should not go and write it again. Last time we have created this dictionary, right? Then so let me go to the unit number 3, 4, where we have the programs where we are developing the test program. Now in this, what we want to create, we want to print the status of the devices, right? So for that, I want to use some for condition for some while condition. So while condition, why we are using while condition, I'll explain you. Let's go and define one function, monitor the switches, something like that. And when you are defining the function, you can either you can go and give some a, b, c, d, etc, etc. Sometimes you will see that we'll go and give this asterisk. Asterisk means anything. So if you want to match n number of things, then you can go give this asterisk. The moment we have this definition of function.
Okay.
In this, I'll go and give item. What does it mean? If I go and give any number like item equal to 0, what does it mean? You know this?
The first position, right?
Yeah, this is like we are telling in terms of programming, we are initializing the function.
Hmm.
So this is the initialization. Otherwise, what
Okay.
will happen? It will throw error. It will tell that, oh, this item is not defined. This variable is not defined. Something like that. We'll get some error. We'll go and use the while loop. And while this item is less than equal to, for example, I want to run the loop for 2 times. This is the condition. Okay. So we'll see that less than equal. If I give less than 2, and if I start with 1, number 1, so item is what? 0. So 0 means 0, 1. 0 and 1. That means that it will run for 2 times. If I give less than equal to 2, that means this will run for 3 times, right? 0,
Mm,
1, and 2.
mm.
No problem. Let's go and give less than equal to 2.
So
We'll see
so
if any
so
error will
so
come.
start at 0
Yeah,
and add 2.
yeah,
0, 1, 2.
yeah. But we have to give something called item plus 1. That means item will increase by 1.
Mm,
This condition we have to give. Now, now what we can do, now I can give, say, item, say plus 1, right? And then Even you can leave like this. So item will increase by 1. Slowly, slowly it will increase by 1. Now we'll go and give the for loop. For loop is very easy and straightforward. What we want from for loop? From for loop, I want to read these switch items. So I want to read switch items. From where? From the switches. Switch items like this from the switches. Right? So
Mhm.
now you will see that within the condition, this is one type of loop condition which is incrementing by 1, 0, then 1 and then 2. We are creating one other condition, that's the for loop. Just like this will create, say some list number is there. What we are doing? We are reading something from this. Suppose this is nothing but switches. So we'll
Mhm.
read from where? We'll read from the switches.
Mhm.
And here I can go and give the switch item, switch item.
Mhm.
And then I
Yep.
can go and print the, oops, oops. Then I can go and print the switch items, right? Copy and paste. So then it will go and print 10, 20, 30, 40. Just the name difference
Mhm.
is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Likewise,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so likewise you can see that we want to read. We want to read from where? One by one. This means one by one. From where? Switches. Right.
Mhm.
And then after that we can go and whatever we want to print, we can print. But what we want to print? We want to take from this dictionary, we want to print the status. Right. So how we can print? We can go and use the print function. Oops, sorry for that. Printing like this, and then we can go and use this f. Within this f we can go and write the variable name. So we want to print the switch, and then you can give the switch items that you are defining, because we want to print this one by one, right? And then we want to print the status of the switch. So you have to go within this, within this, within this. You will see the nesting of the programming.
Mhm.
So that is from the switches. When you have the switches, this is important. When you have the switches, from that switch you want to read from the switches the switch items, and then the status, and then the status like this.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll see that we may have some problems here. No
Yep.
problem.
S-
Then
Yeah.
we'll
That's
go out.
yep.
let's
Okay.
let's leave this program up to this point, and let's try to run, and then we'll try to modify, we'll try to standardize this program slowly, slowly, slowly. So let's try to run this program. Let's go here and run this python.exe, and
Did
then
you
test.
uncomment?
Yeah, we'll see
Did
that.
you?
We will
Okay.
will
Okay.
run this with errors, and then
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Ha ha ha. All right.
so now we are running this. Yeah, we have done this comment and all. So we just, our
Okay.
program
Perfect.
is
Gotcha.
just this much. Let's run
Yep.
this. After running this program, I am not getting any output. So it is not printing this line,
Hmm.
right?
And no error.
Yeah, no error, no error, no
In-
output
in-
also.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what we can do now, that this item plus one, I can go here and see the standard way is like this: item equal to item plus one. That's the standard way generally we are using, item equal to item plus one. Let me save this. Let's run. And then it should print anything, right? But let's see.
Mm.
So you can see that it is not printing anything at all, this function, because obviously we are defining the function, right? We have to go and call this function somewhere in the main program. We don't have any main program. So let's do this thing. Let's go here and call this once. And now you'll see everything. We will try to understand. And I'll go here, and print while high. I'll print for high. Okay, I understand this thing. Let's go see how this will work, how this is working behind the scene. I need full output. Let me clean this screen. Oops. And then try to run this. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is where this loop is going for 3 times while
Mm-hmm.
loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within while loop,
Zero, zero, less than or equal to 2. That's what's
yeah,
controlling that output.
yeah. So if we go and make this 2, so 0 and 1, right? That means if we go here 2 times,
0 less than 2.
yeah,
So less than 2 means 1. So 0 and 1.
0 and 1, yeah.
Is
So
okay.
only
Okay.
2 times.
Interesting. So
You can
so the equal sign. So 0 less than or equal to 2. Equal to 2 means 0 plus 2, which is 3. 0,
yeah,
1,
0, 1, 2.
2.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And you see it is
Cute. Yeah.
going 2 times only.
Yeah.
Right. So now you can see here, and then you will see that first time it's very, very important to understand this looping condition. So how this looping is working, that when we are within the loop, when item equal to 0, this for loop will work.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when item equals to 1, again this for loop will work. After that, the item is less than 2, means 2 is less than 2, that is false, right? So third time, when 2 less than 2, that is false, then this will come outside, and then you will see this last statement will get printed. So if you see the high statement here, you will see that this is for high, but
Mm-hmm.
again you have for high, but here your loop is ending. Now here you are coming out of for loop, and then you are printing the while high.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last loop in the for, and then your last statement, which is getting printed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that small program, but quite
Mm-hmm.
useful.
Powerful. Yeah. So monitor switches, that is how you call the function. That
No,
one command.
this is,
So
yeah,
yeah,
function call.
that monitor switches. Yeah, yeah. So without it, the function is defined but almost useless because you don't have a command set to use it.
To call it.
So monitor, so, to call it. So monitor switches, it's just self-explanatory. You call a function with the open brackets,
Yes.
open and close brackets right there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
those the open and close bracket calls the function that's named, period, right?
yeah, yeah. And suppose if we
Because
have
some
argument here,
yeah, go
suppose
ahead.
A, B, C, D, that's the parameters. Then when you're
Uh-huh.
calling the function, then you have to go and give something like 10, 20, or maybe high.
Mm,
So like that, you are
mhm,
defining the function, like that you have to call as well. Otherwise, it will throw error.
mhm, mm. Okay, interesting. I think, did I lose you?
Got it? No, no. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So now
I
let's.
lost you for a couple seconds, but you're
Oh, okay.
back now. Yeah. Okay, I
All
got
right.
it. Yep. Yep.
So this
Call the
is one of the
function. Call
example
the
which
function.
is very important. Now let's go and check the easy one, the for loop. So we have the same inventory. Now what we want to list the switches and their status. How we can do it? Simply we are using the for loop. This for loop will run only one time. Why? Because it will go and check this and this and this, and then it will come out. But interestingly, you can see in this example, we are using the for loop with these two parameters, like in the for loop, switch and info. Switch
Hmm.
and info. Say for switch, comma info in switches dot items, because switch dot items will give you this and this thing. It will give you the status and it will give you the VLAN information, right? So this is a for loop where we are passing two values. And then in the print statement, we are printing the switch. Why this? This is the switch. And then the status is like info. And then the status. And then the VLAN. VLAN is part of the info and VLAN. So info and a status, info and VLAN, and then the switch name. So switch name, it will go and call this, and then info will call this and this, right? Very interesting program. Let's try to understand this. You have to understand only this line and this line. So I will break this. You will understand everything. Let's go back here to the editor. Here we are. What we'll do now, I simply want this inventory, and we go and okay. So now what we want here, we want to define a function. Let's define it. Switch info. Anything you can give, then right.
Yep.
Now we are going to use the for loop. See, for switch name, for example, because 101, 102, 103 is our switch name, and info within the switch. Info means the status and the VLAN info. Like a status is active, VLAN is 1020. One is character, one is integer. Where
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
in the inventory, which is switches, and within the switch we have the items. Items means that these are the items in the dictionary. This and this, they are the items, this and this. Now if we go and
Yep.
nest
Yep. The
in
key, the key,
value,
the key value pairs. And
value,
interestingly, I don't know if you call this nested, but there is a list as one of the values. So the key is VLANs and the value is a list,
yeah,
10
value is the
and
list.
20, right? Yeah,
100%
very
correct,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so key and value. So one time we have key and value as a character, and other time we have key and but the value is in a list. You're right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Now what we want to print something. So let's go and print. Say I want to print. I will go and print the say for example, I want to print the switch name. That's it. For example, we'll see that, and then we'll go and print this. Save this. We'll add the lines slowly. At the moment, we have this inventory. From this inventory, switch name and info. From the switch items, I just wanted to print the switch name, the first item. Let's try to run this. Now you can see it is printing switch 101, 102, 110, right? Now I want to print the status, for example. How we can go and print the status? Let's see. A status is part of what? Info, right? So if somehow we'll go and say I'll type here, write here status or print the value of a status. Now I can go here and define the status. You can see this is the status. So, and we have the switch name. Switch name where you are putting within the parenthesis, right? So likewise, info also is what? Is your variable placeholder one by one it will print. But anyways, I'll not go to the complexity. Just let's go and print the info and we'll see. I will filter from this. Let's work up to this point. See, first this print a statement and this print the status. Now you can see it is printing a status, active, VLAN. So what it is doing, this info, that within this info, it is printing the full information after switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we want, we are selective, we just want this key. And this key is part of what? Info, and after that status. So somehow if I go here and put the status, this much if I go and add, and I run the program, see the status, right? And now if I go here and if I cut this and oh, I should not cut it. Let me copy and paste. So copy and in this. Let me comment this. Right. So the same line. Run this. Switch 101, print the status is active. Switch 102. Like that, we can give some more items. First, the switch name. Switch name, or maybe even I can remove this, just it will look better. The switch name is with, oops, switch name is 101. Oh, I haven't saved sims. And then print the value. I don't want that. Print the value. Let me save this. CLS. Okay, now you can see switch name is this with a status active, inactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now what we want to add one more line here to print the VLAN information. For that, what you will do? VLAN is where? That is also part of what? Info. So you define the info. Within that info, what you will go and call? VLANs, right? Right, you can watch this recording. First, when I have printed that statement earlier, this statement. So let me show you one more time.
Okay.
I'll understand this. So I'll go and print this statement. Where it is? Oh, not this one. This, leave this part here. Now you will see
Yeah, where is info defined?
here
Oh,
for switch name info.
okay, okay, okay.
So this, it
Hmm.
is reading this and
Mm-hmm.
this under whatever we have,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, no problem. Now you
Oh,
see this output.
okay, wait a minute. For switch name, comma info, that is an arbitrary name. That's a logical name for us, right?
Any name, yeah, any name
D
we can put.
doesn't mean anything for Python, just our name, okay? And so we can choose to call the word switch name or the word info, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what the comma is saying. The comma is saying you can call the word switch name or info
Yes.
in your next statement, whether it's print or
Related to
whatever.
this, yeah.
Okay,
So related to
gotcha.
this in
Interesting.
switches dot items.
Yeah,
So
that's
it will
very
switch
interesting.
name is this
Yeah,
and info is this. So info is
yeah,
complete string,
yeah.
complete string. So if I simply
In
print info, you can see that it is printing this statement, complete statement. Now from
gotcha.
this output, I just wanted to print active or VLANs. If you want to print active, use this status. If you
Mhm,
want to print VLANs like 1020, use this VLANs. So if I go here, let me increment this slowly. What happened? Okay, let me increment this slowly. So if I go here and use this list entry, list type of entry, and if I go here and if I type simply a status, and if
mhm,
I go here and type simply VLANs, right? So what
mhm,
this will do, this will see the output.
mhm.
See, this is the first, this is info. Now within
Mhm.
info, we are filtering a status and then VLAN.
Which is what you're doing is you're calling the keys in
Yeah,
info in the
and
for loop info. You're calling the keys, and Python is giving you the values of those keys, right?
100%, 100% right.
Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
right. So now this is actually this is the usability you have. When you will
Yeah.
go and check the bigger program, you will see that these things will keep coming, where loop
Yeah.
is just a loop and condition is just a condition. Like in for loop, I
Yeah.
can go and give if else, if matching, if else, etc., etc. But these are the very important aspects we have in the programming, right? So let's go back here and let's check
Yeah.
few more examples, and then we have one small
Yeah.
SD-WAN example. So after
Yeah. If
that,
you
I
don't
have
know if you don't know looping, you can't do network automation
yes,
in our world, right? I
yeah,
mean, you're gonna be looping,
100%.
you're gonna be looping like crazy, you know?
100% right.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% right. Yeah. All right. So now you can see these two very important conditions we have while we are doing the programming testing. These things are coming into the picture. Break and continue. These two terms we are going to understand. Break means that here you can see this is our inventory, and then we are putting the for loop as it is. We are reading the switch from the switches, and then we are matching the condition. Now we know how to match something. So for the switches, switch status is active. If this condition will match, break, come out from the loop. This is something that you are putting break in a program. At the moment, suppose if I have active here, and suppose if I have inactive here, and then suppose inactive, inactive, and then active. The last statement is active. Then it will read this, it will not do anything. It will read this, it will not do anything. At the moment it will hit active, it will come out from the loop. That's the
Okay, break.
break.
Gotcha. Stop looping right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a break, go
If
outside.
it yeah, if not, it might go on forever, right?
Yes, yeah. And just reverse of break is continue. So if suppose if your condition will match, suppose if the status is not equal to active, that means inactive. Or if a status is active, continue. So this is just the reverse of break. This will continue, right? So this example list all the active switches escaping the inactive. This will continue. Continue till this condition is matching. Continue, continue, continue. It will continue and complete the program. Now, what's
Mhm.
the use of this? See, sometimes it is happening that you don't have these static devices. You have to go and log into the devices one by one, and there are chances that few of the devices are in unreachable. or maybe device got rebooted due to some issue. At that time you are unable, your program is unable to reach to that device. So if you are running big program, what is happening? Due to unreachability, all of a sudden your program will go out, it will exit automatically, it will get exit. So
Mm-hmm.
on those condition you can put one condition like continue, in a sense that continue till you reach the last switch. So that means your program will continue until means it may get some unreachable switches, but the program will not exit. At the moment it will get the unreachable switches, it will continue. So condition is like this, that if devices are unreachable, continue. So that means your program will not exit, it will complete the cycle and then only the program will end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are the use cases we have. Continue is actually very interesting. That long back I was doing some automation script, logging to the devices by Paramiko, NetMiko, all the time due to some reachability, because it has to log into more than 2,000 devices and take some compliance report like number of ACLs, number of SNMP lines and all. So program
Mm-hmm.
was exiting all the time. Then I simply put one small keyword continue, and then it was continue till the end.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the power we have with a small piece of code here. Continue, continue, go on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So now we are super expert in programming. Why not let's go and use this break statement and then we'll move to the SD-WAN program. Let's go and do this. So let me copy this. Oops, here, paste this. Let me remove this. So we want to write our condition. Even I can go and use this for loop. Oops, this for loop as well, but not the full. What we want? We don't want all this info and all. We simply want switch name within the switches. And then we can go and give the condition. What is our condition? If switches, right? Switches. And in this switch, what you want to match? A status. So in this one by one, we want to match that status, right? So within the switches, within the list of switches, one by one, we are reading the switch name like this. So this is nothing but the switch name. But in this switch name, what we have? We have the status. Suppose if this status is what? Active. For example, active. Condition should end like this. Then what you want? We will print something. Let me go and print something. So we want to print something, and we want to something, print something. I'll go and change this, print something, and then the switch name, right? Obviously, we want to print the switch name as well. So the variable you want to print is switch name from here, and then break. Building our small program here. Yes, let's see if some error will come. We'll try to recover. Okay. Now we'll see here the issue, what it is telling.
Line 50, switch
Line number 50.
info.
Line number 50 is this.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it's formatted
Oh, sorry. My
correctly.
bad. My bad. Why I gave that? It
Oh,
should be
you
like this only.
parenthesis. Let me see.
Yeah,
Let me see what the error said for switch name. Oh, it didn't highlight that specifically, but it
yeah, it
gave
is
you the
telling
line
this
50.
line.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dictionary.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
So
Visual Studio Code didn't highlight it as an error either. So it was formatted correctly, but not, maybe not used correctly. Is that right?
yes, yeah, format was
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Format was
we,
right for something, but not for your application, for not for your use case.
yeah, right.
So yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, so you can see here that what it is doing, that at the moment it will go and print the active. So first switch is active only. So it is printing switch 101 and coming out. If I go and make first switch as a inactive, so you will see that it will reach up to here. See the output switch 110.
Mhm,
So first is inactive,
mhm,
condition is not matching. Second is inactive, condition is not matching. Third is active, condition is matching, coming out from the loop.
mhm.
Right. So you can see, very interesting. Today class is actually very important, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm
recording
gonna
this,
have to.
so I will
It's
upload this
ramping up.
to
It's
YouTube as well.
ramping up quick here. Ramping up quick. So I'm gonna practice everything to this point because
Yeah.
can't get too far without the practice, or else.
Here. Next, I will not go next because we have one example related to, related to SD-WAN. SD-WAN coding. I have one example here with regards to SD-WAN here. So now you will see one example, one practical example that we want to do here, and I will show you some errors as well in this program. So we'll not call anything. First of all, we'll see the errors and all. So you can see now our programming is structure. We are defining a function. What's the function name?
Mhm,
Connect to vmanage. What are the parameters? Vmanage IP, username, password, right?
mhm,
Then within this function, we have something called URL. This URL, you can see the function. This URL is the IP address that we will provide. We will provide where? When we'll call this function. How we are calling this function? Like this. Vmanage session. So this vmanage session, we are calling this, right? So within this connect to vmanage, we are giving the IP, the username, and the password. So that means these thing, whenever I'll call these values, these arguments will go inside this, right?
Interesting. Like you showed previously. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can see here how this SD-WAN program is working. You can see that we are defining a function. We have one URL where we want to log in. So this is the URL,
Mhm,
no problem.
mhm,
Then we have the payload. Why we have payload? Because this is some sort of API type of thing. We are going to use port number 8443 or 443. So
mhm,
we are going to use the REST API. This is a REST API call where we want to log in, and you can see the method here is post method. I'll come one by one to all the line. So now you can see that we should have the URL, we should have the payload, and then we have the sessions. Now in this session, what is this session? This session equal to request into sessions. Request is something that is used. This is one of the Python package that will be used for REST API calls, right? So no problem, we
mhm,
have this request, this session. In this session, what we are storing? Request dot sessions. Now you can see the response. So this is the request, and then you can see the response. What is that? What is that response? Response is session. What is this session? This session into post. So here you have the post. Post means what? We have discussed this earlier. Post means some data. Some data means when you are creating an object, some data will come into the post. So in this post, what we are putting? The URL, where you have the URL, this is the URL. What you are putting? The payload, where you have the payload, this is the payload. And then certificate validity false. We just want to negate the certificate error. So now you can see this is your post method. This method will work as a response, right? Response. You can see this is a response. Response to certain query. This post is the response. Now you will see if response. We know that in API calls, 200 means good. Something good is 200.
Hmm.
So now you can see that we are matching the condition if response dot session code. This dot, that is, very, I'll show that. And then if it is true, that means return the session. That means you are successful. Otherwise, raise an exception. So we are using if else condition here. Now you see this program, and now you see this program. How much similar they are? They're very much similar. We are defining a function. Only thing new thing is here is this, that you need some payload. So
Hmm.
once you know that where is the response, then in this response you can go and check the status code. Now
Hmm.
response dot status code is some number. If it is not 200, then it will tell that you are unable to log in. The same thing here we are doing in case of dictionary as well, but in some other format. Switch name into status is active, right? Switch name, even we can go and match switch name VLANs and equal to some number here. Like that, we are matching the condition here with if and else. Now up to this point, try to understand up to this point, then we'll move next.
Yeah, I think I understand. There's a lot happening in there, but we can keep going. I guess one question I have is there's always several ways to do things, right? This looks like someone designed or you designed a way to uh, use a minimal amount of lines of code, meaning it's kind of consolidated to produce the outcome we want, which is to log into vManage. I would imagine there's several ways to do this, and maybe those other ways would produce too many lines of code. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, we'll see. At least we are going to see at least 2-3 ways to log in.
Okay,
But
perfect. That's and
yeah,
that's exactly that's perfect. And
yeah,
that's what I want to see. I want this looks like the best way, most consolidated, easy, compact.
yeah,
Just and then there's probably two other
yeah.
ways that are
Yeah.
more lines of code, a little
So
more. Yeah, so yeah,
yes,
perfect. I would love to see
so
that
we are
later.
not
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
like all these plain text username and password and everything in the program. So you will
Yes.
see later on that how we'll go and call these things and hide these things. We'll check that.
Oh,
Okay.
understood. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
All right. So what we are doing so far, that in our Python learning, we are learning about functions, how we can define the functions and then the conditions. So when you are logging, you are creating a session to vManage, you can see it's almost the same thing that we are doing here. Almost the same,
Hmm.
defining the function in the
Yes.
same way. We can pass the parameters and then you can call the function. So finally,
Yeah.
while creating the vManage session, we are calling the function connect to vManage, and this will connect.
Hmm.
Now, if you go and execute this program, it will throw error. And where is this program? This is in SD-WAN. Okay, so let me go to the correct folder.
Let me ask you a question also before you run it.
Yeah.
So the first line is function definition. This time we put arguments in there, right? vmanage IP, right? Those are arguments, not parameters, right?
These are the parameters, but when you are giving the value, those are the argument. So this is the
Parameters are the
parameters.
definition.
These are the
Okay.
parameters, and these are the arguments. Let me quickly go back to the.
Parameters are the def.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
show this. So
Okay.
we have one.
Yeah.
Uh, when we have started this function, so here it is. Slide number 16. Parameters are the variables listed inside the parenthesis. So these are the
Ah,
parameters,
gotcha.
and arguments are the
Gotcha.
values passed to the function. So when you're calling this, these are the arguments. So
Fantastic.
these are
Got
the
it.
parameters and these are the arguments. Parameters are variables,
Perfect.
arguments are the values,
Okay. Perfect.
right? So
I
such
just
type of
need to do my
example,
homework. Okay,
yeah, such type of
perfect.
example we have seen earlier also. When we are defining a function, you can see we are defining a function, configure VLAN, switch name, VLAN ID, VLAN name, and then we are passing the arguments like switch 101, 10 management,
Gotcha.
right? In our previous session, we have done this.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right, so let's go back.
Thank you.
And so these are the parameters. These are the variables. In easy terms, these are the variables, and these are the values. Variables and values, right? Variables and values. All right. So now if I go and run this program, it will throw error. Let's go and run this. Why? We'll see that. One underscore login. See, let's check the errors. Request is not defined. Request is something that will be used for API calls. I hide that just to make sure that
Yep.
error will come. Again, if you go and run, again it will go and throw some error. You can see that you are getting some errors related to certificate warning, adding certificate strongly. So for that, we are using this URL lib3 package to disable the SSL warnings. So that's why we are adding these lines here. And now if I go and execute this program, this will work fine. There's no problem. Now it is working fine. So we are able to log in, but after that, what operation we will do later on, you will see that I will go and use this vmanage session, and then I will utilize this in some other functions.
Interesting.
Okay, this is something that one of the example that we have related to the SD-WAN. Behind the scene, I am connected with Cisco AnyConnect, and I am able to ping to this IP 198.168.1.10. This is nothing but our vmanage IP.
Got it. Got it.
Right, so that's why this is working. So my connection is there, which is up and running. And on top of this, this is just how you can connect to vmanage. Now in vmanage, we have so many different types of APIs. We will go and use those APIs and we'll go and run our program. So next time, if I have to suppose go and build something, I'll simply copy this piece of code. This is you logged into the device. And after that, I
Mhm.
will go and define two more functions like list number of devices. So I'll go and define say def list devices.
Mhm.
And then I'll give
Mhm.
some ABC parameters here. And then
Mhm.
function will be like define. And then I will go and I will give the URL. URL will be like that only, and then you can go and give these payload URL payload. If it is a get method, you don't need such type of payload, but payload is required just to log into the devices. And then these lines are required like sessions and response. Once I do that, then after that I'll use some for loop, and then I will match some condition like if and something, and then I will use some print statement. I can go and use some Excel function, some PDF function, and I can generate the output, and I can print in Excel, I can print in PDF, etc. And then I'll come outside. So later on, finally I have to go to the main function, and I'll go and call the list devices, and it will generate the output.
Yep. Makes sense. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Yep.
All right, so today's class was actually very important. We have done 3 classes so far. I request you to do some hands-on practice.